It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you are watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, 790 The Score, Mark, anywhere you can find us, anywhere you podcast, you can pick us up. And, of course, call us. Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS. Anything's on the table. Have a take. Joe's going to pick one. Let it be yours, 855-313-7287, or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, got a good one in Pat's Nation, talking offensive coordinators, free agents. Where do we go from here, Mark? We're going to be talking about that in Pat's Nation. And in a weekly rewind, we're going to talk a little Celtics, and with our PC Fryer expert here, we're going to talk Providence College basketball. And, of course, Catone's comments. You never want to miss that. We're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. And in Sunday Spread, we're going to pick a few winners. We're going to talk about the NFL championship games coming up tomorrow. So, gentlemen.
Hey.
I'm ready.
Belichick's not going to get hired, is he, Mark?
Listen, go back. It might have been October to one of our shows. And what did I say to you? I said, Chris, who is going to want him? He won't get hired anywhere. And you thought I was crazy.
Yeah, because the Atlanta Falcons hired, is it Morris?
Raheem Morris, yep.
Raheem Morris. So job's gone.
That job's gone. The pickings are slim. It's dwindling pretty shortly. There'll be nothing
Washington
on the board.
And Seattle. And
it looks like Chris Washington is interested in the kid from Houston, the OC over there. Your guy. Slow it. So we'll see.
So let's see what happens. We have our own problems, though, to deal with the Patriots. So we're going to talk about it right now. Pat's Nation, Joe. So, Mark, some of the issues that we had with anointing Gerard Mayo as the head coach of the Patriots, a couple of the issues we had were his inexperience, his lack of connection in the NFL world, and in the coaching community, and so on and so forth. It seems to be rearing its ugly head now, doesn't it? Because
it is.
Right now, the Patriots are in search of an offensive coordinator. They've interviewed Zach Robinson for the Los Angeles Rams, Kaylee, also from the Rams, a couple other guys. Pritchard, he's gone now. Dan Pritchard from Cincinnati, he became
and the other guy's gone too. That interview.
You're talking Shane Waldron.
Yep, he's gone. He's off the board now.
He's off the board. So basically, the only two guys that are left from who they interviewed are Zach Robinson and Nick Caley, both in the Rams organization. Caley spent some time here. He's been coaching longer than Zach Robinson. And then, of course, Zach Robinson, who's the passing game quarterback's coach. That's my favorite
pick
for the job. Oof. And then a familiar face, Mark. A familiar name.
So that's the rumor, Chris. They said if Belichick doesn't get a job, he's going to be a leading candidate. And I'll let you say the name because I can't even say it.
You're talking Josh McDaniels to come.
My God.
A homecoming back to New England. Well, let's address that in a second. But looking at this situation, and you're hearing all kinds of things right now, one being these guys are not interested in the Patriots job, right? And so why wouldn't they be interested, Mark?
Well, first of all, at this point, I know you got the number 3 pick in the draft. They have no quarterback. They have absolutely no weapons on the offensive side of the ball. None. You're going to have to get hired and bring in an entire offensive coaching staff with you, right? Because you're not going to keep anybody that's on there.
Right.
And lastly, I get Mayo's comment this week. Oh, we're going to spend, we got to spend money. But this is a franchise who historically doesn't really spend a ton of money in free agency to say, oh, we're going to bring in all kind of weapons on offense.
Yeah.
What is there to entice a young guy to come in and make a name for himself here? I don't know.
Well, the one thing I can say is, and I don't, some of the comments that Mayo has been making too, it's as if it's like a comedy routine. You know what I mean? Like all these
That's
kind
an
of
experience,
offhanded
Chris.
comments.
That's an experience.
Look, the bottom line is your offense is a mess. Now, if I'm an OC or a potential, offensive coordinator, because I don't know how many openings there are right now in the NFL for an OC. It looks like there may end up being one in Houston.
Philadelphia has one because they just fired the OC and the DC this week. They fired both. You're right. Houston potentially will have another opening for OC. We think.
Because I think Slowick's going to go to the Redskins as a head coach.
Commanders.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Commanders. You show your age. Your age.
So, anyway, so there's some jobs, and maybe these guys are waiting for those kinds of things. But I look at it and I say, well, okay, if they're sitting there saying, well, the Patriots' opportunity sucks because it's too much of a rebuild, they don't have a quarterback, these guys want that, though. Some of these guys want to put their stamp. They want to build a program. They want to build an offensive system because that makes them more marketable as head coaches. So this idea of, well, I don't want to go because the team sucks too, but that's always the case. I mean, if you're interviewing for jobs as an offensive coordinator somewhere, that means this team isn't that great. There's not too many guys that are retiring that you're going in. So that's usually the case. I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's why these guys, why I think it is. I think because of money. I don't think they're offering what they're supposed to offer. I don't think what they're offering these guys what the market would yield. And I think he's been cheap for years. I think this whole organization has been cheap from players to coaches, except for the big guy, except for the $25 million for Belichick. Otherwise, that's what the issue is, in my opinion. Now, I don't know that, but the other reasoning doesn't make sense to me as to why these guys wouldn't want to be there. Now, maybe they're testing the waters and want to go to an established offense in Philadelphia or, to put them over the top maybe. But if you want to be, or one story I heard was, well, Robinson wants to stay in LA, in the position he's in. What? Now, you want to be a head coach, you're going to be an OC. That's it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, not at Morris, Chris. Raheem Morris got hired in Atlanta. I think you might see Robinson follow him.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
If he's going to take an OC job and he's going to leave the Rams, you might see him follow him because he's on staff with them and he knows them and he has a relationship with them. Now, Nick Caley knows Mayo, so you would think that maybe that would entice him to come to New England, but New England did him dirty, Chris. He interviewed for OC last year, and supposedly Mayo was part of that interview process, and they picked O'Brien over him. So he may be like, you know what? Screw you. You're lowballing me, like you said, Chris. Salary-wise, I don't want the job. So, and if it is they're lowballing people, Chris, well, that's what they did historically the whole time Belichick was here. They paid their coaches nothing because Bill made all the money. Yeah. Well, guess what? That's not going to work anymore, Chris. It's not going to work.
I just don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing, Mark. I don't think they understand
Chris,
it.
You know what?
They haven't. This is why you needed to interview more people for head coach, because just at least to pick their brains and understand what things are like out there. Bob Kraft, the Krafts they haven't interviewed people in 25 years. They have no clue what this is like out there, what the demand is.
Chris, but like you said, when the process had originally started, before we knew Mayo was going to be the coach, as soon as the Belichick was, let go, you said you need to hire an offensive guy to be the head coach because it's much more difficult, Chris, to get an offense in place. The defensive side of the ball, no disrespect, I know you're a defensive coordinator at Hot, but I think it's easier, Chris, to get a DC with to fit what Mayo wants to do. And Mayo's a defensive guy. Like, I think if they hired an offensive coach, Chris, it would have been easy to find a DC.
Well, I think they're going to promote DeMarcus Covington, who's the current defensive line coach for the Patriots. I mean, they're interviewing other guys, Gerard Alexander from Pittsburgh. You got Hodges, the New Orleans linebacker coach, a couple other guys too. But
what I'm saying
Covington,
is, if you had hired an offensive head coach, Chris, you still could have promoted Covington, and because you and your offense would be all set. You wouldn't need to worry about an OC.
Right. Look, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. The plan that we had, and we said this beforehand, was Peters, bring Peters in as a GM, bring Slowick in as the head coach. Done.
All done.
You know, instead now, you don't bring in a GM. You let these two clowns, Wolf and Gross, they're still employed. I don't know why, but they're still employed.
Yeah.
You now have a head coach before you have a GM, and now you don't have an offensive coordinator, and you got job offers to the Belichick boys. They offered them to come back to coach in New England, and I think that was just done for show. Well, guess what? That show now is going to yield you these two guys staying around, because Bill Belichick's not going to get a head coaching job, which means these kids are stuck. Where are they going to go? They're going to stay in New England. Nice job. So basically what we're going to have, and then let's talk about free agency. What we're going to have the entire team, the entire coaching staff is going to remain the same, except Belichick's gone. And so I don't understand why they did what they did. Mark, they have no idea what they're doing, and we need to keep track of it. But free agency now. Talking about the players, talking about the coaches. Now, who do we have? This is something interesting I saw. Comment on this. Talking about top 15 offensive players that are under contract for the Patriots. Quarterback, 0. Tackle, 0. Guard, 0. Center, David Andrews, which, tight end, 0. Running back, Ramondre Stevenson, top 15. I don't know about that, but fine. X receiver, 0, which is the outside receiver. Y receiver, Demario Douglas. Z receiver, none. So nothing on offense. What do you make of that list?
So what is that, Chris? Guys that are coming back?
These are guys that are under contract that would be top 15 at their position in the league. That's it.
Douglas. He's not top 15.
Well, he had numbers. He had at the wide receivers. He had, but this is the list that I saw, right. And I don't agree with Douglas, and I don't agree with Stevenson. I say none.
All right. You know what, Chris? I would say none. So how do you? And that's the thing. So this is a total rebuild on the offensive side of the ball, Chris. Right. A total rebuild. So where do you start in free agency? You have money.
Well, right? here are the current.
You have
free
money.
Agents. Okay, you want to talk about just offense now? Okay,
we're just gonna look at offense.
Hunter Henry, Trent Brown, Owinu, Kendrick Bourne, Elliott, Gilsecki, Pharaoh Brown. That's on the offensive side.
Who do you bring back? Hunter. The only guy I'd bring back, Chris, is Hunter Henry. I'd bring him back.
Owinu. That's it.
Owinu. No, if Henry wanted to stay, a team-friendly deal, which I don't think he will. I think he'll get money somewhere. Owenu, I would definitely bring back, and that would probably be the only one, Chris. Maybe Henry, Owenu. I don't think Zeke Elliott would want to come back here. I think he wants to. I think he showed enough to catch on with a contender, a team that has a shot to win something, and I think that's where he'll end up next year, because I think he showed enough this year that, hey, I still got something in the tank.
So free agency then, what's your number one? What do you want?
Receiver. Yeah, really? You need a tackle, but I think we can get the tackle, Chris, from Dallas in maybe in free agency. Right? Isn't there, right? You're gonna have to offer him a shitload of money, but you're gonna have to do something. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, to me, you got to go tackle, and you Tyron Smith in Dallas. Yeah. He's the best tackle that's available. Okay,
and I don't.
He's
Dallas
older. Yeah,
and they don't have the money to franchise him, so they'll let him go to free agency. They can't franchise him.
Now you're going to overpay for an aging.
You're going to
for an aging tackle that sometimes can't stay on the field, but I don't think you have a choice. So to me, the two big areas that you should be doing is Tyron Smith and Michael Owinu. There's your tackles, and you go draft one in maybe the second or third round, because the first pick, I'm disagreeing with everybody, and this is really draft talk today, but with getting Marvin Harrison Jr. So to me, you got to go get tackle, right? Do you re-sign Hunter Henry?
Well, I don't think you have a tight end on the roster, Chris. You might have to try to. Where are you going to get tight ends from?
So I don't want Gilsecki. We don't need Farrell Brown. You can find anybody that can do what Farrell Brown does. But so offensively, that's what you know.
Yeah, but Chris, what about wide receiver?
Well, I mean, you got T. Higgins out there. You have Ridley.
So, Chris, depending on who the OC is, if you go with a guy like Robinson or Caley and they bring in the McVay system, the full system, I don't think T. Higgins is a fit for that system. I think Calvin Ridley is a fit. He's a free agent from Jacksonville, and I think I don't think he's happy down there because I don't think he got the production he thought he would get with Lawrence. Ridley fits McVay's offense better than a guy like Higgins does. And Ridley's not going to cost you as much money as Higgins. By no means.
To me, you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. You go get a guy like Ridley or trade for Judy. You take another receiver in the draft.
Yep.
You sign maybe a second-tier guy, and off we go. And then
off we go.
You know, and next week we're going to talk draft a little bit because if you're going to take a receiver and Chicago's going to take a quarterback, why not go trade for Fields?
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
So
everyone seems to think, Chris, that we're hell bent on taking a quarterback, though.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between being number one and choosing out of the three who you like and just taking what's left over after the first two go. Yeah, I did that with Mac Jones.
Yeah, they did.
No, thank you. I'll send that dish back, Mark. So
if Chicago said give us a future first round pick, like next year's first round pick, and maybe another pick, whatever, something else, do you move up to 1 to take Caleb Williams? Because Chicago's gonna take either a different quarterback or 3, and maybe they're gonna take Harrison. Do you move up to 1 if they're not asking for the house from you?
Yeah, if the guy you target out of the 3 guys, Daniels, and next week we're going to talk draft, but we're going over. But if the guy you're targeting is one of those 3 and it's Williams, then trade up and get the damn guy. That's it.
Okay.
Just trade up and get him. If not, take the damn wide receiver and move on. Right?
Okay. Agree.
So pay attention out there. Let us know what you think about this offensive coordinator situation and give us a call and heated hotline 855-313-PATS, PATS. But Pats Nation was presented by Corso Catone Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. Sponsorships are available. Mark will do a nice read for you. He'll sell anything. I'm telling you, who doesn't want that? So when we come back, Weekly Rewind coming up.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's
it.
What is wrong with you?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso Catone, the real deal New England Field, as the promo says. Mark, why are you always yelling on these commercials?
Who's yelling? I'm not yelling on
Joe,
the
he's out of control.
He's very passionate about what he says.
Like you say, like 790, you hear it all week long. It's sports, it's passion, it's the real deal New England Field. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk Celtics. We're going to talk Providence College. We're going to do it in Weekly Rewind, and we're going to do it now. Going back through the week, about a Weekly Rewind. So, Mark, let's start with the Celtics a little bit. Let's talk a little bit of Celtics. And the one thing I do want to discuss, and it kind of open up the discussion, starting with that Denver loss. Mm-hmm. The loss that broke the winning streak at home. It was a good game. I mean, it was a game down to the wire and all that, but should it have been?
No, but Chris, listen. The Celtics reverted back to what they did last year in the playoffs against Miami. Listen, they had advantage. They had an advantage, Chris. Denver was basically telling them, we're going to give you 15 to 18 foot jump shots all night if you want them, because we know you're not going to take them. And they didn't. They kept throwing up threes and throwing up threes and throwing up threes. There were a couple of sequences, Chris, where Celtics got three rebounds, offensive rebounds. It kept kicking it back out.
Four in a row.
Right? And then
on one
Denver
possession.
gets the rebound and goes out on a break, and Murray scores a layup off the break. After you got 4 rebounds and couldn't score because you kept taking 3-pointers. So at some point, Chris, when a game gets tight in a second half or in a fourth quarter against a team that you're going to probably have to see again in the finals, you mean Sam Cassell, somebody can't pull Mazzulla aside after the game and say, Joe, look, you know how many times we've lost this way? Like, we got to try something different down the stretch, Joe. Maybe we stop shooting something, stop shooting three something. Chris, I know what the analytics tell him, and I get what his system is. I get it. But his system, when you get into these games against these caliber of teams in these types of situations, Chris, they don't work. It doesn't work.
We gave Mazzulla props a week ago. This is,
we did.
This is pisses me off. I should have kept calling him Sleepy Joe, but we gave him props and he deserved it. But now you're going against the best team, arguably in basketball, the world champs, all that, right? In the first half of that game, now, okay, I get it. They were only 30 some odd % from the field. Okay, shooting. This is a bad night. Are they always going to be? No. But what irritated the hell out of me, where I gave him props before, was the adjustments like you talk about. So there's one thing, say, well, look, when our shots are not falling, we need to go to something else. We need to go to real high pick and rolls. We need to be able to get Tatum going downhill. We need to get our spacing better. We need, these kinds of things. You need to bring some people off the bench.
They didn't do it.
In the first half of that game, what's irritating to me is they went away from it. They were pulling Jokic out of the paint, which is where you got to get him out of the paint on Celtics offensive possessions. Okay. Mm-hmm. They were doing that. Porzingis was getting him out of the paint. They were pulling him up to the top, and it created nice lanes for Brown and Tatum and White and so on. And they were, and that's when I think they went up by 10 or 12 points at one point in that game.
They did.
And that's what they were doing. And so it created better spacing. It created a lot. We talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, where when Porzingis is up high, they run better, especially when a guy like Jokic in the middle in the paint. What the hell happened, and why did they go? They completely went away from that in the second half. And so I'm wondering, is Sleepy Joe back? I mean, what the hell are we doing? Why is that happening?
They just revert back, Chris, to what his listen, the basic staple of what he likes to do is what you saw in the second half, Chris, not what they were doing in the first half. That's not his belief. His belief is what you saw in the second half. They just weren't hitting shots, but that he wants them to play that style, Chris, because he says it in the press conferences when he makes references to that, that's how he wants them to play. But unfortunately, against a team like Denver, with what they have, it's going to be very, you're going to win. If you get hot, you'll beat them. But it's going to be very difficult for you to win a 7-game series against a team like that with what they tried to do in the second half, Chris. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, if they play in a 7-game series, I think they would be favored, because I don't know that you're going to get 35 and 35 out of Murray and Jokic every single game.
You might get it out of Jokic. You might get 30. You might get 30 out of Jokic. You won't get it out of Murray.
Right, every game, and they needed that.
Yeah,
because when you look at those two teams, the drop off in Denver after Murray, the drop off is just it's like a cliff.
No, it is. It is
right down. But with Boston, the depth of this team. You have potentially 4 or 5 all-stars in your starting lineup,
But you know what else, Chris? So Jaylen Brown, who you praised, right? You've been praising him lately. Reverted back to the old Jaylen Brown in that game. And the other thing was, Chris, they had Murray on Jaylen Brown. But Murray, instead of making him work on the defensive end of the court, Chris, to try to tire him out and wear him out,
or get him in foul trouble or anything. Yeah.
Get him in foul trouble. Jaylen Brown wasn't, to your point, Chris, wasn't going downhill, wasn't going to the basket, was just chucking threes. So Murray basically wasn't even playing defense.
No.
So you were giving him a rest on that side of the court.
So the person that needs to
You know what I mean?
improve, the person that needs to improve from game to game with the Denver against a team like Denver is Mazzulla.
Yes.
Is Mazzulla and the coaching staff. That's who I put it on. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I think they're better. I think the Celtics are a better team than the Denver, top to bottom. Now, I think the best player in both of those teams on the court, the best player is Jokic. Then Tatum. I know it hurts everybody's ears to hear that, but that's the truth, Mark.
Chris, the Celtics top to bottom have a better team, a better roster. Chris, they had a better roster the year they lost to Golden State. Should have never lost to Golden State. They had a better roster than Miami last year.
Right.
They should have never lost to Miami last year. That's not the issue. The issue isn't the talent they have the talent to win. But when they get in these games against these teams, they revert back to what you and I say they can't be, but then they go back to it.
And then in their own, because I want to get to Providence College right now, but just real quick, Doc Rivers is going to get hired as a coach for Milwaukee Bucks now. That's bad news for the Celtics. That's bad news. It worked out, Mark, where, like I said, where Lillard going to that team, I said there would be a chemistry problem over there. There's not enough basketballs to go around.
There is a chemistry problem.
So they needed somebody to tell Giannis, the ball can't be in your hands. It's got to be in Lillard's hands. Is Doc the guy to do that, and does that hurt us?
I don't know. Let's see how that plays out. Listen, I think Doc will get them more disciplined, and I think Doc is there to try to get them to play some defense because defensively they stink. They don't play defense, but I still don't think they have enough other than Lillard and Giannis to beat us, Chris. Even with Rivers as the coach, like you always say, Chris, if we show up, play our game, go downhill, do the pass, move the ball, pull Porzingis out when you can, do the things that we've been talking about, Milwaukee shouldn't be able to hang with us, Chris. They really shouldn't.
I agree. So shifting gears, Mark, Providence College, our PC Friar alumnus, I can never figure out how to say it. But
right.
You went to PC. So
yes,
they had that big injury. They have a big injury. They had a nice win against Seton Hall earlier in the week.
They did, yeah. So we haven't talked about them in a few weeks, and right after the first of the year, they lost their one of their top, if not I think their most key player in Bryce Hopkins, who was a double machine. He had double-digit rebounds, double-digit points, played defense, was gritty. Tore his ACL. He's out for the year. They were 2-0 in the conference, and they looked really good when he went down. They lost 4 games in a row. They had to kind of reimagine themselves and rethink how they do things because he wasn't just a rebounder and a scorer and a defender. At times in a game, Chris, he would actually play like point forward, and the offense would go through him and flow through him. So they struggled. They lost 4 games in a row immediately following the injury. But now they destroyed DePaul. They stink, but it was a win on the road. And the Seton Hall game on the road this week was a good win, character win, showed some toughness. Granted, Seton Hall's best player, Kadari Richmond, did not play in that game for whatever. We don't know why he sat out, but he didn't play in the game. But it was still a gritty road win against a good quality opponent that's at the top of the conference. You had to get it.
You see him as a tournament? You see him as a team?
They were before Hopkins' injury, they were a lock for the tournament. Now, I think they're going to sit right on that bubble. Here's the thing, Chris. They're
going to have to make some noise in the Big East tournament.
Probably, but they're 4-4 right now. They play Georgetown today, Saturday. If they beat Georgetown, which they should, Eddie Cooley's coming back to town. The place is going to be crazy. Eddie Cooley's coming back. But
you got to go to that.
Yeah, if they end up, they beat them, they're 5-4, Chris.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to win 6 more league games. You got to win about 10, 11 league games because the conference is so good. If you can win double-digit games in the league, you're right, Chris, then you could probably going to win a game or 2 in the Big East tournament, and then I think they'll get in. But I think right now, Chris, they're sitting on that. They may not be in. They're kind of on the bubble. They're going to have to win some games down the stretch, and it's a shame because if Hopkins didn't get hurt, Chris, they absolutely were a tournament team.
Yeah. Well, you're starting to see the type of player that isn't on this team that English needs rear its ugly head now without him there. So we'll see what happens. Send us an email and heated hotline, corso.catone@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about the PC Friars. But Mark, I don't know. Let's see. They need tournament bound. Mark, we need you over there.
Oh, we need him tournament bound. Listen, I do want to just call out one guy before we switch gears. Devin Carter, guard, one of the best guards in the conference. I think he's one of the better guards in the country. He's been averaging like 25, 26 points a game since Hopkins went down, plays defense. He'll run through a wall and he'll get back up and get back on the court. He'll shake himself loose and say, I'm ready to go, coach. You need like 10 guys like him. Great player. I don't know if nationally he gets the respect he deserves, but he's one of the best guards in the country. And he's really stepping up now that Hopkins has been hurt.
Well, you heard it here first. So Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. And we come back. Buckle up. Catone's comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's comments!
So this week, I'd say 10 days or so, it's been really cold. Everybody knows it's been cold around here. If you live in New England, it's January. It's that time of the year, right? It's cold. We've had some snow. The snow plows are out. There's trucks on the road. You know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about driving, my favorite topic.
Oh, boy.
Here
we go.
Listen, is it too much to ask? Common courtesy, decency. If it snows and your car isn't in the garage, clean the snow off your vehicle. Take it off the roof, the back of it, the hood. Listen, clean your car. Get up a little early. Warm it up. Get a snow brush. I'll buy you a snow brush if you need a snow brush. I'll buy you one. Clean your car off. Please clean it off. Because you know what happens? You're driving. You're on the highway. Now, this was after one of those storms earlier in the month. I'm going to work. I'm behind a vehicle. Big chunk of snow comes off the hood, the roof of the car. Boom! Smashes into my windshield. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're that goddamn lazy that you can't clean your car? Or better yet, you got the back window. It's covered in snow. They can't even see out the back of the car because they didn't clean it. Are you kidding me? You're driving the car. The back window is totally covered in snow. You couldn't clean the snow off the back window? Are you kidding me? Really? You got to be kidding me. Then there's the idiots. It's snowing. Roads are slick. They want to cut in front of you like they're at the Daytona 500. It's 90 degrees outside, and they're driving a race car. It's snowing out. It's raining. It's sleeting, and you want to drive like you're in the Daytona 500. Listen, slow up. Why do you got to cut in front of somebody? They cut right in front of me. I'm laying on the horn. Right? Oh my God, was I laying on the horn? I think I laid on the horn for about 15 minutes. Right? Like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Or you watch the buffoons. You got the singers and the snowplows on the street, and you got the buffoons that drive up right behind the plow. They're right behind the snowplow. What is wrong with you people? The sand is getting kicked up all on your car that it's spitting out. And if, God forbid, the plow stops short, what, are you going to run into the back of the snowplow truck? Like, what is wrong with you people? I'm totally, I just don't get the common sense, people. Common sense. Use a little bit of caution. Use some common sense. Clean your car off. Clean the roof off. Open up a space in your back window so you can see, for crying out loud. Like, I don't understand it. Listen, common decency, common sense. What is wrong with you people? You need to be calm like me on the road. You're cutting in front of people in the snow. Calm. There's no rush. Take it easy. I just don't get it. The weather gets bad, and these people, they lose their minds. They lose their minds, Chris. It's unbelievable.
Can Joe? Can somebody tell me where is Mark on the show tonight? I mean, can somebody tell me where Mark Catone has gone, please?
I will say this, though, Mark. I have this here for Rhode Island general laws states no person shall drive any motor vehicle with any significant amounts of snow or ice upon the vehicle.
Okay.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much.
Define significant.
Okay, here we go. Here's the attorney now. Here's the attorney.
Significant is construed as any amount of accumulation which might reasonably be expected when blowing up the vehicle while driving.
He was ready for my stupid ass remark because there's always a definition section of the law, always, and he was ready for it. Listen, so Mark, aside of the driving because Mark he's putting out his driving manual. The Mark,
I am. It's almost done. Wait till it's gonna be a bestseller.
Yeah, and so, but the better question for me, Joe, maybe you can answer this is, where is Mark Catone? Where's he going? Because
what do you mean?
Where's the 2023 Mark Catone? Where's the maniac? Where did he go? Because you're very calm. You're asking people to be calm out there and relax, and there's no rush in getting anywhere. What the hell is this? Who are you? All of a sudden,
who's this imposter?
I mean,
listen, my New Year's resolution.
Oh, for Christ Almighty!
You found a good lookalike stunt double, man.
I'm telling you.
Right?
Now I do have. So I just out there, for everybody's listening. Do me a favor, I'll even put Mark's address up. Go when it snows. Everybody wait on the road, and I want to see a parade of cars when Mark pulls out of his driveway. A parade of cars in front of him with snow flying all over the place. That way we can see the old Mark come back in the lunacy that is Mark Catone. And Mark, we do have a question though. Last year you were talking about your neighbor when it snowed.
Yeah,
Joe, you remember this, Joe?
All right, leave him alone.
So there's some sort of an altercation with the snow, and what was he doing with the snow? Was it the leaves? What was going on?
That was the leaves. The leaves. It wasn't snow. It was the leaves.
So what did he fell down last year, right? In the snow.
Listen,
and you didn't help him up.
I wasn't outside. I saw it from my window. I wasn't outside. Listen, if I was outside, I would have helped the poor gentleman up.
Are you one of the guy that throws the leaves in your yard? You're gonna go help him out?
No, that guy, I would have left him there. I would have left him. Forget him.
Are you one of these people that has? Because I listen. I'm in Arizona, so
yeah, go ahead.
It don't snow over here.
No, I know it.
Are you one of these people with a snow blower, or you use the shovel?
No, I have both.
Okay. So where does that snow exit? Does it exit to your neighbors? Because I heard something today.
It exits on my lawn, my grass.
Because somebody was.
I clear my driveway. Goes on my grass. I got two different sides of the driveway, and then my walk, I'll snow blow it to the sides. I don't blow it in the street or on my neighbor's yard. No.
Joe, I want a video of him with the snow blower in his driveway. Don't think we need that as a promo. I mean,
hey,
so
blowers, you know what I mean?
Don't you have like kids in there? Why don't you help somebody out, you cheap bastard? Why don't you pay a kid 10, 15, 20 bucks to shovel your driveway, you jerk? Give somebody the business. No, you're out there with the.
Hey, maybe he needs the exercise. You know what I mean?
What is wrong with you? I do need the exercise. Thank you, Joe. What are you crazy? Get pay somebody. Are you sick?
Goes to shovel. He knocks on the door like he's 10 years old, right, Joe?
Yeah.
What?
Why not?
How much are you getting per driveway, Joe, to shovel it?
$15, $20.
It's a driveway. That's
it's 15. Then people give me the 20, and I'm like, I don't have change. Okay. So
you don't understand. My wife sends me out there with the snowblower. She wants me to go down. She don't want to pay any money. She wants to collect the insurance.
why don't you just leave people alone out there driving? If they, if there's a little bit of snow that comes off their car, just a little bit, you got the windshield wipers, put those on. Mark, you just, you really need to do something about this. You're so agitated about drivers all over the
Joe,
place.
you don't see that with the snow. These cars with the snow.
Yeah. But Chris is he's
right?
He's making sure he's got some customers coming to the.
You should have seen me on the road today, screaming and yelling.
Accent. They're calling Chris anyways. That's what.
Hey, look, you need to. The next Catone's comments. You need to talk about driving. You need to talk about the people that won't get out of the left. That won't get out of the fast lane into the right lane and let you pass. And then when you go to pass on the right, they speed up like jerks. Talk about that one, Mark. Next time.
Listen.
So good stuff, Mark. Good stuff. So stay out of Mark's way, whether you have snow on the car, anything on the car, leave snow, just stay out of his way. Put it like a bubble around him when he drives and leave him alone. So Catone's comments was presented by, who are we at, Joe? Where are we at here? Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Saturday. You can catch us and make sure you email us, corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to hear from one of you in the nation and heated hotline. All that and more. Stick around. No flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's
it.
What is wrong with you?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Field. It's going to be real.
Oh, it's real. All right. It's real. Joe, I keep losing my place. He's got me all thinking about the snow and everything. I keep losing my place on the outline. So, but when we don't lose our place is when we hear from one of you in the nation and heated hotline. Let's do it, Joe.
Attaboy. This one's a write-in from Paul from Cranston. Paul writes, "Love the show, guys, and being able to listen on 790. With Kansas City beating Buffalo last week, all I have heard is Patrick Mahomes is going to break all of Brady's records. And at this point of his career, he's ahead of Brady, where Brady was at the same time. In my opinion, he is not Tom Brady, and he never will be. At the end of the day, Mahomes won't play long enough to win 7 Super Bowls. What do you think about Mahomes versus Brady?"
Here goes the New Year's resolution, Mark.
There it is.
Here it comes. I'm so happy somebody brought that. You know what? When we were thinking about heated hotline, I was hoping that we would get something like this, Mark. Okay. Paul, thank you for the email.
Listen.
Okay. Go, Catone. Go.
What? What am I going to go? What? Listen. First of all.
Well, wait. Let me give you the numbers first.
Go ahead. Give the numbers. Give the numbers.
Hold on. I got them right. I got them over here. Hold on. Let me look it up here. Because I wanted to bring this up in when we did the NFL playoffs. So through the first 6 seasons, okay, for both players, you got Mahomes is 73-22, Brady 70-24, 6 division titles for Mahomes, 5 for Brady, 13-3 playoff record for Mahomes, 12-2 for Brady, 3-2 in the AFC Championship games for Mahomes. Brady's 3-1. Super Bowls 2-1 for Mahomes, 3-0 for Brady. Okay, what? They're the same guy now.
Now they're the same guy. Yeah. Right. Oh, by the way, that 13-3 for Mahomes, just for the record, he's 0-2 against Brady. 2 of those 3 against Tommy Boy. Well, Tommy was in his 40s, by the way. Just for the record. There. Yeah, just for the record, Tommy was in his 40s. Just for the record. Listen. Mahomes, Chris. Yes, he's a good quarterback, and listen, last week was the first time he's ever had to go on the road and win a playoff game. Okay. And everyone says, oh, they went in, they beat up a Buffalo team. That's, this and what an accomplishment. Listen, Buffalo stinks. Buffalo stinks. How many times am I going to tell people that? When I went to go see the game in New England back in October, Chris was all excited. Oh, New England's they got a shot to make a move. And I said, Chris, that game was about Buffalo, not about New England. Buffalo stinks. If you watch the game live, they had flaws all over the place. I get they put a run on at the end. They won the division. They played teams that were beat up and injured worse than they were. That's why they won those games down the stretch. They beat teams that were crumbling. Philadelphia was crumbling. Those are the teams they beat. They didn't beat anybody. Now, all of a sudden, they get to the playoffs. They beat a Pittsburgh team who was only down 7 with 5 minutes to go in a game. And Pittsburgh is like playing the Little Sisters of the Poor, for crying out loud. So I don't want to hear Mahomes went on the road and won a playoff game. He beat nobody. This week, let's see what Patty Boy does. This week in Baltimore, Chris, I'm telling you, they are going to get the doors blown off them this week in Baltimore. Trust me. And everyone thinks I'm crazy. I'm telling you, Baltimore's going to kill them.
Can I add, by the way, he had the fastest running back in the league for a little while there, too, with Tyreek Hill. Everybody
wide receiver,
everybody fails to, everybody fails to mention that, though.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I see these numbers, I don't care. The first 6 seasons, you could show me the first 3 seasons, first 20s. I don't care. Okay. Yeah. Do this for me, Mahomes. When you're ready to control the whole offense yourself, when you're ready to have a meeting by yourself, okay, call an offensive meeting with all your skill guys, bring them in a room like Gronk, like Randy Moss, like guys that are Hall of Famers, control the meeting, run the meeting, go through the breakdown for the whole week, just with you and your players, as to what you need to do, what mistakes you made every single practice, every single mistake you made, how you need to correct it for Sunday, and this is how we're going to win the game. And you're the offensive coordinator in that situation. You do that, okay? You do that, and then I'll start to think of you the same way I think of Tom Brady. Mark, nobody, let me say it again, nobody is going to be Tom Brady. No one. Set your sights a little more realistic if you're going to compare Mahomes to Brady. I don't care about the first 6 seasons. Yeah, whatever, okay? The bottom line is Brady eats, sleeps, drank everything to do with football, everything to do with getting better in the intellectual part of the game, the mental. If you put it this way, all right? The offensive design for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I've said it 100,000 times, okay? Andy Reid puts that team in good positions to win. There's motion they use. Patrick Mahomes is not coming up to the line of scrimmage. Josh McDaniels used to send in an idea to Brady, an idea, not a play, an idea. And he'd send the personnel package out on the field. And then Brady took it from there. He moved guys around. He did what he had to do to see what was going on the other side of the ball. Okay? That's how Tom Brady ran an offense. And make no mistake, he ran the offense. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes doesn't run the offense. And I want
Andy Reid runs that offense.
That's right. And I want to see this week. I want to see how you elevate your team now. You go to Baltimore because those linebackers, they had 5 starters out last week. Buffalo did 4 or 5 starters on defense.
Chris, their linebacker group, they were either third stringers or practice squad guys. They had nobody playing linebacker that was even deserved to be on an NFL field.
Kelsey's not. You think Kelsey's going to score 2 touchdowns? You're nuts.
Not against those linebackers. And that
so
defense.
I want to see Patrick Mahomes elevate the guys around him to be able to win in Baltimore this week. You do that, then I'll start to think, okay, well maybe he's got something here.
Chris,
that ain't gonna happen.
Brady went into Arrowhead when Buffalo was at the peak of their excellence.
KC, yeah.
At that point, that offense, Kansas City was at the peak of their excellence at that point. And Brady beat him.
He had nobody.
He beat him.
And that was the year that Gronk was beat up, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gronk played, but he was beat up. He was beat up. Made a couple of big catches when they needed it, but he was beat up. Yep, absolutely.
No. I want to see Mahomes elevate the play of the other guys on this team. I want to see you go into Baltimore, control the clock, okay? Get up to the line of scrimmage, decipher what's happening, control, dictate everything, to dictate the play, convert 3 third downs and 3 third and 10s in a row when the joint's bearing down on you. Let's see if that happens. Chris, listen, if he does it,
I'll eat crow. I've eaten crow before. But listen, as you said, Chris, there's only one Brady. Mahomes, listen, he's great. He's a great quarterback. I'm not going to say he isn't. But how can you put him in Brady's class already? If he gets beat this year by Baltimore beats them. Okay, he's got 2 Super Bowls. You think he's going to win 5 more between now and the end of his career? First of all, today's athlete, Chris, isn't playing 20 years. Patrick Mahomes is not going to play football for 20 years. Patrick Mahomes might have 7, 8 years left in him. And then he's going to move on to do something else, Chris. These modern-day athletes aren't sticking around. To your point, Chris, they don't drink, breathe, and sleep football 24/7. They got other interests. They got other things. They got businesses, commercials. They got all kind of things that they're doing outside of the game that Brady, he did that as he got older. He did. He had the TB12 and different things like that. But football he was an animal with the preparation.
And you know what else?
Chris, Mahomes, Chris, wait a minute. Mahomes said, Bill, when they played New England at the end over here, the last time they played over here, he said, I got a lot of respect for Belichick. He taught me to read defenses because I had to learn it because of what he was doing to me. What? Are you kidding me? That's how you learned to read defenses? So please don't compare him to Brady.
He's reading a children's book compared to how Brady read it.
Yes.
He's reading a children's book. And by the way, real quick, you give me the numbers if every one of his playoff games other than one were at home. Then give me the numbers and see what those numbers would have been in the first 6 seasons. Go ahead. Do that. Yeah. Do that. So, he's not even Peyton Manning yet. He's not even Peyton Manning yet as far as quarterbacking in this league, let alone he'll never be Tom Brady. Paul, we appreciate that email, and you are dead right. And we're not Homer saying it. We know what the hell we're talking about. So Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to make you some money in Sunday spread, and we're going to go around and talk about that championship matchups in the NFL. All that. Stick around.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CORSOLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, Mark, so we're into our championship round of the NFL Sunday, tomorrow. We're going to have 2 games, Kansas City at the Ravens, and you got Detroit at San Francisco. So let's break these things down. I mean, first of all, we talked a little bit about last week with the Buffalo game with Kansas City and so on. Were there any surprises last week other than maybe the Buffalo KC game?
Well, Chris, I thought San Fran, and I know Debo Samuel got hurt, but like you said during the game, Chris, when you and I were talking during the game, you said, but there's always an excuse with this San Fran team.
Always.
Right? Like, I really thought San Fran would have dominated coming out for bye at home last week. And listen, the kid misses that field goal for Green Bay. The game would have definitely went to overtime. I mean, then who knows what happens, right? So I was surprised, Chris, at San Fran last week. I really thought they would have won very easily at home, and they were life and death in that game.
Yeah, I was too, and I started to feel the same way about Baltimore until the second half. Because I'm a Houston. I like the Texans. I think they're an up-and-coming team, and I think they're going to be right there next year in the AFC Championship game. So, but then the second half of that Ravens game, Baltimore turned it on.
They did.
And Lamar Jackson has got something to show and something to prove, and he's aching to prove it. He'll win the MVP this year, and I think he's going to end up being the Super Bowl MVP as well, because I'm with you. I wasn't impressed with San Fran last week like I've been. So now, turning to this week, okay? Kansas City, the first game. Kansas City at Baltimore. Ravens are giving up 3.5. So Kansas City's getting 3.5 points on the road. You kind of started to talk about that a little bit already, but break this down.
So I like
why is it going to be a blowout?
So I like Baltimore, and I think it's going to be a blowout, Chris, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I think they have, as you mentioned when we were talking about Mahomes versus Brady, Baltimore has, Chris, the linebacker group. The linebackers are all over the field. They have depth at linebacker, their corners and safeties. They are going to take Kelsey out of the game. So Kelsey will be a non-factor because of the talent that Baltimore has on defense. Okay. That leaves you with Rashid Rice. After that, Chris, they got really don't have a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, I know they got Pacheco. Pacheco ain't running the ball, Chris, against Baltimore. They said, he can run. He's not running against Baltimore, Chris. What Kansas City has this year, Chris, for strengths, that's the strength of Baltimore's defense. I'm telling you right now, I will be shocked if Kansas City scores 17 points. That'll be their limit. They're not going to go over 17, Chris. I'll be shocked. This game's going to be like 31-17, 34-17, I think, Baltimore. I just don't think Kansas City has enough offensively, Chris. And like you said, Jackson is on he is on a mission. He is on a mission.
Yeah. I mean, and defensively for Baltimore, they have the horses to get into the throwing lanes. They can show zero look against Mahomes, and he doesn't like it. Okay, where they're looking to come after him. But their linebackers are good enough and fast enough where they drop into that low hole where they want Kelsey, where Kelsey makes his money. And lo and behold, Mahomes throws back across. That ball's getting picked by Queen. What's his name? The
Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith. It's a different ball game. And offensively, again, I'm with you. The running game. I mean, the running game for Baltimore, it's as good as anybody with Lamar Jackson, and now he's got the ability to get the ball to Flowers and guys down the field. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close either. So I would take the Ravens with the points. They will cover that spread. And shifting to the other game, Detroit, San Francisco, Mark. Talked a little bit about San Fran. I don't know if DBO is good. He's 50-50, I think. 50-50.
It's going to be a game-time decision. If he doesn't play, Chris, I think Detroit's got a shot to win the game outright. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's a 7-point spread Detroit's getting.
It's a large spread. I'm going to say Debo gives it a go. I think he'll give it a go because then he's got 2 weeks to rest if they win to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take Detroit with the points, Chris. I think if Debo plays, even though he won't be healthy, I think San Fran might win it. I say San Fran will win by a field goal at home again late. They'll win it by a field goal probably. But I'll take the 7 because I don't think they'll cover 7.
Yeah,
I mean, with the 7. I think San Fran may win it, but I'll take Detroit with 7.
I tend to agree with you with the spread, but I'll tell you this: Detroit will have a real shot at winning. From what I saw last week with San Fran, especially on the defensive side of the ball, Detroit will have a chance to win this game if they can run the ball a little bit, because Detroit's game is play action. Goff, everybody, he's no good. But when he's very good in the play action game. When they can establish some of the running game a little bit, and Ben Johnson over there, the OC for Detroit, finds different ways to run the ball. Different guys, puts guys in the backfield. If they're able to do that and they can work their play action game, I think Detroit has a shot to win this game outright.
Okay.
I mean, and even if Samuel plays, Mark, I don't know what his condition is going to be. He's got a shoulder injury, right?
It's a shoulder, yeah.
So I don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in. And I think defensively, I think Detroit's got a lot of horses. I think they got some good linebackers. I think they have some good speed, and I think they're rolling right now. Wouldn't it be something, huh? Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl, Mark.
Oh, my God. What a story that would be, wouldn't it be? Oh, my God.
It would.
The whole country would be rooting for Detroit, except, if you're a Baltimore fan, if they make it.
That's the matchup that's the matchup they want. They want Detroit and Kansas City. Oh my God, please. I can't watch Kansas City. I can't watch her. I can't watch that Taylor Swift in the friggin' booth. I don't want to see it, Mark. I don't want to see it. So I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So we like Baltimore, we like Detroit with the points and so on. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Give us a call on Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS. PATS, or email us, corso.catone@gmail.com. And tune in every Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Bring us back next week. Don't forget. And all our shows are up for you to watch and listen. Log in, subscribe, give us that thumbs up, and come back next week. Hey, we're going to talk more Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, Catone's comments, anything you bring to the table, we'll be ready. We are Corso Catone, the real deal New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find CORSO CATONE on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.